A few weeks ago, I did my bike check on my GT sensor, but now that our trails have opened back up, I've actually been able to get some time in on this bike, and I can give you some of my opinions. Full disclosure, this is no way a review. I'm sponsored by many of the companies and the products that are on this bike, such as
GT, Ergon, Noble Wheels, and Onyx Hubs.
So I don't really want to focus on the products themselves. What I do want to talk about that this is my first time on a 29er. I came into this bike a little apprehensive. My whole life, I've either ran a 26-inch mountain bike or 27.5. And I've always been hesitant to jump over to a 29er. Now I should add, I was actually supposed to get the 27 GT Force, but I already had a GT Force. I wanted to try something new, and I have no experience on a 29er, so I figured it was time to try one out and see how it felt. The big question is, how does this feel on the descent? One of the things I found surprising is I really thought in the corners I'd feel a little bit more sluggish. And when I'm up to speed doing turns where I'm leaning in, I'm not gonna say I can't tell the difference, but the difference is less noticeable in terms of how sluggish it is to initiate a turn. In fact, I'm able to carry so much more speed out of some turns, especially on the flat, chunky sections, that I'm able to do gaps I wasn't able to do on my Force. So that begs the question, if I were to start mountain biking right now, what wheel size would I pick? Would I pick 29er or would I pick 27.5? And I think I would actually pick 29er. But I think for the majority of people, that is going to be a better solution in most scenarios. There are going to be certain situations where people will prefer 27.5, but I think for the majority of people, they will be plenty happy with a 29er. And is this the death of 27.5? No, I don't think it is. I think it still has a place, because there are still some drawbacks to 29ers that I'll explain. So one thing that did catch me off guard with the 29-inch wheels I didn't really think about is when I was manualing. I forgot that the wheels were obviously bigger, and when I was trying to get back into a manual, I happened to catch my wheel on the seat of my pants, which led to a very scary moment. Luckily, it was all fine, but it's something to keep in mind. If you're really trying to get the maximum range of movement, the wheels will interfere with that. That's a very small set of circumstances, and I'm probably not gonna run into those issues on a regular basis. Now, I do wanna address some of the questions I did get on my bike check video about the setup of this bike. Am I running Cushcore? Yes, I'm running Cushcore front and back. I don't run any bike without them these days, except for maybe my dirt jumper. But there's something else that I really have missed, and that is the oval chainring. For me, it's really helped smooth out my cadence. And Haley, who's been following me on the climbs, has really noticed I've been pulling away from her. Now, I know this bike has less travel than my old bike, so you're probably wondering, is that gonna be enough? Well, if you remember a few bikes ago, one of my bikes was actually a 130 mil travel bike, and I hit crabapple on it at Whistler. So I think this bike is gonna do just fine. So since my last video, I have updated some of the parts on this bike, notably the grips. Ergon just released a newer version of the GD1 grips, which are these. They retain the same tapering profile, but they have a smaller version of the flange. Apparently, in their experience, a lot of the downhill racers like the smaller version of the flange, so that's one of the main things they updated. But most importantly, the biggest change to this bike since my last video is the addition of a water bottle cage, because I hadn't ordered it yet, and I forgot to do that, and when I went on my first ride, it was annoying to have to carry a water bottle. Now, if you want to know any more technical information about this bike, I'm going to link to my website, and I'm going to try to put everything I can think of in one place so all your questions are answered. As always, my name is Phil Metz. Thanks for playing bikes with me today, and I'll see you guys next time.